For a long time, every time we see KOG, there's also an LTS right next to it. How do you end up joining LTS?
So, you know, like I said, KOG was kind of like the recruiting crew to LTS. So they've always been inextricably linked together, you know. And what happened was around 98, J-Rock was having a meeting at his house, and you know, he's getting all the things together. He's getting a keg. He's like, yo, help me get this keg. So we go pick up a keg. Yo, bring your turntables. So I bring my turntables. Yo, you know, let's throw this party. We have this meeting. We're all vibing. And at some point during the party, you know, I was asked, Retina was like, what's up, bro? He's like, you're down to be an LTS? I'm like, yeah, if it makes sense. I'm like, oh, fucking, you know, welcome to the crew. And so it was only like a year after I got into KOG that I got into LTS. And it's been, to me, both crews have always been kind of on equal footing and have meant the same to me. When we started doing KOG, to me, it wasn't the stepping stone crew. Since it was the evolution of the other crew, it was just like, I was happy enough being just in KOG, and I always treated it as my main crew. At some point, the crew got actually, what happened, I don't know, a lot of people don't remember this, but around like 2002 or 2003, KOG got too big. We had too many people and we didn't know a lot of people. So we basically had a meeting to tell everybody that we're deading the crew. The crew is no longer active. Everybody has to stop writing it. We don't want to see anybody write it. And we had planned this as like a way to get rid of all the dead weight and all the people we didn't really want to do. And we just only wrote LTS for like a year or two. And then after the year or two, when we saw, okay, no one's writing it, all right, let's bring it back, but let's be very selective. And we were very selective, and we invited obviously the people from LTS and a couple dudes that were from it before, like, let's bring it back. And at that point, I feel like we took that momentum and that energy of like the stripped down version of the crew, and we were really able to elevate it and take it to like a platform where people really noticed us.
Who were some of the original members of LTS? Can you share that with us?
You know, it was around in the 80s, so there's dudes that I'm less familiar with. I know Inc. 5, rest in peace, Create, Mark 7, Dr. Oop, which is a hip-hop guy from the Black Love Radiators, Everlast from the House of Pain, Sinner. Sinner and his brother are like the OGs, you know, they started it. It's their crew. Jimmer was an OG guy from the early generations. Verse, rest in peace, Verse. There was actually two verses, an 80s verse and then the verse from the 90s. And the verse from the 90s was definitely one of the guys that put LTS on the map. And unfortunately, he passed away a few years ago. Just after that, you know, there was a generation with Retina, J-Rock, Air, Kyle, myself. And that was kind of like, I guess, the second wave from the 90s.
What does LTS stand for?
It's last to serve or last to surrender was the original meanings. After that, you know, just like every other three initial crew, we come up with like leaving train stain, leaving toy stunned. There's a bunch of other iterations, but the original was last to serve or last to surrender.
Those are two very influential crews in Los Angeles with superstar writers. Do members exchange tips and tricks with each other, or is it more of a silent competition with your crew members?
It's both. I think every time we paint with each other, like on the same wall, we're silently battling. We're trying to burn each other. We're definitely trying to one-up each other. We want to be the guy that walks away like, damn, dude, like when people like, yo, you burned everybody on this wall, you know? So there's always a competition, and I think that's what keeps the people really evolving stylistically and wanting to do bigger and better things. But there's, as always, it's a camaraderie and there's love. If anybody from the crew ever asked me, yo, how did you do this? I would tell them, and nobody's ever been like, oh, I can't tell you like my secrets. We always share, we ask each other, we influence each other. We see like, oh, I like the way you did that. You mind if I do that? No, dude, this is how I did it. Check it out, you know. Hold the can like this, flare it down like that. So it's always a lot of love. It's always an unspoken competition, but it's nothing but love and respect. And we're definitely, we want to help each other out. I want my homies from my crew to do the best pieces possible. So if there's anything I see that they're doing like that's, oh, this kind of doesn't look great, or you can upgrade that, I'll be vocal about it. And I don't think anybody takes it personal. You know, we critique the fuck out of each other. We're our own harshest critics, but I think that's what keeps us like evolving and getting better.